It's not until we started packing did the extent of the journey really set in. Days, weeks, months, even years of planning for this. Everything has a specific plan and purpose. Brenda tells me I'm usually drawn to difficult things. From backcountry adventures to business decisions, I usually always seem to choose the path less traveled. Navigating through the trail, it sounds easier than it sometimes is. We don't take this lightly at all. It's been a dream for years. Hard work, dedication, now balanced from our beginnings dating back to 1945. Literally the story of a family legacy, now moving 74 years of history. My grandfather was a thinker, tinkerer, and innovator. After moving to California in 1945, he and my grandma sold her family farm and really set up shop there in Southern California, what we know today as Weatherby Incorporated. Roy identified shortcomings in other bolt-action rifles and cartridges, then designed his own for exceptional performance and a unique style. In 1983, the torch was passed from my grandfather Roy to my father Ed, creating a beautiful continuation of the generational family business. Continued ballistic development, premier rifle manufacturing, and family business atmosphere launched Weatherby into the second generation of leadership. The results of building something better created a legacy for inspiring the dreams of hunters and shooters that I now get the privilege of leading into the third generation.
Adam and I have always been drawn towards living for the full experience. Adventures are just part of our DNA as a couple. Adam usually plans these adventures a bit riskier than I would, but I tend to go along even though I know there will be some miserable moments. We just love to do it together.
He's a nice bull. We just hiked in and just saw a bull.
Yeah, he's nice. I would shoot him.
Yeah, he's a shooter.
So let's go this way.
He's 600 yards. Oh yeah. Just check on it real quick. I'm gonna check the property boundaries over there. Bull was about 600 yards away. We spotted him. We think he winded us. He went over the hill. We're gonna go see if we can get a chance at him before dark.
Oh, don't move. So we're not really sure what we should do, if we should go after the monster bull or the really nice mule deer that's right here. It's kind of our decision.
About 200 yards. Yeah, that's your shot. No way. Wow.
He's beautiful.
That is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
He's cool.
First mule deer. Yeah, we
He's pretty.
saw a huge bull, but he winded us and ran at 600. We're thinking about chasing him. This mule deer pops out at 200. And mule deer up here, you see him or you don't, where I think we're gonna get into some elk.
Nice.
So it's a good call. All right, here we are. First night of our elk mule deer hunt. And look what Brenda did. Wow.
So we just got the deer quartered up. Beautiful mule deer, and now we're all packed up on bags and gonna head back to camp. Hopefully eat some of it tonight. People have always been one of Weatherby's strongest assets, but 2018 was an incredibly hard year. We lost so many long-time employees, great people. These goodbyes are hard on the soul, and the missing intellectual knowledge and historical context makes replacing them difficult.
It's Dean Rumbaugh. I remember when I started, I've known Dean my whole life because Dean's worked for the company for 15 years longer than I've been alive.
I'm sure Roy's up there looking down with a smile on his face.
As we announced our move to the great state of Wyoming, the trickle began. We went without, others were overworked doing more than one job, and many stayed with us until the very last day in California.
Good luck to you.
So do you go right to the new job, or do you have a few days off?
These are Weatherby employees. Out of the 70 employees, 18 came with us. A big thank you wouldn't come close to expressing our gratitude to those left behind.
California represents a rich history and an established legacy that I never want to forget or take for granted. Wyoming, on the other hand, now represents a bright and promising future for Weatherby. To say that Wyoming has been good to us, it's an understatement. We have been welcomed with wide open arms and given an incredible start. When I first received the call from Governor Meade, he told me that Wyoming was serious about having us and that the state would do everything they could to convince us that Wyoming and Weatherby was a perfect fit. Well, it didn't take long for us to realize that these weren't just empty words, but statements that were backed up by the actions from the good people of Wyoming. After all, I'm learning that a good firm handshake from someone in Wyoming carries a lot of weight with it. This is probably why we feel so at home here. People often ask me why we made the move. Honestly, I don't even know where to begin.
Well, we got up and spotted a bull, immediately. Looks like he's a fairly decent 5-point. We haven't got a full look. Wait a minute. He's behind some trees feeding at about 480 yards. It's just we're fresh into the trip and want to make sure we get a good bull, so we're going to probably get a good look at this guy and then decide if we want to take him this morning. Unbelievable.
All right, so Bren, what are we doing?
Well, we saw 5 bulls, but they're hell down the canyon.
Hell down the canyon. Down Hell's Canyon, and then back up and around. So we're deciding
It's going to be a sucky night, but we're going to go for them.
if we're gonna go, it means we gotta go down lots of feet of elevation and then back up, and our camp's already miles from here.
And
Best-
Adam says he'll regret it if we go somewhere else and don't go after these. So we're going to go
There's
for
some
that.
nice bulls in there, but it means late tonight, she's gonna be punching me in the face. So that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Closest one's a 5x5. 550 yards. Let's take the bigger one. It's gonna be a long night.
All right, it's 11:30 p.m. and we made it up to the bull and quartered it out and caped it, got it off kind of down to the creek, and so now we're hiking back. Should be back probably hopefully by 1 in the morning, and then tomorrow we'll bring the mules down here.
my home is over that Jordan, and my heart is longing for home. But when I get older, gonna sing it, gonna shout it, hallelujah, I'm home. Thank God I'm home. Oh, I'm home. Thank God I'm home.
One of the things I've learned in life is this: the greater the challenge, the greater the reward. Let's be honest, one of the best parts of running a race, it's crossing the finish line. But life isn't merely measured by our successes, but also the journey required to get there and back. From the emotional highs to the emotional lows, this adventure together with Brenda is one I will certainly never forget. This new chapter in Wyoming contains a certain element of risk. But as the missionary Hudson Taylor once said, without an element of risk, there is no need for faith. I couldn't believe when the day finally arrived. It was move-in day, and everyone was filled with excitement, both those who'd made the move and those who'd recently joined the team. This was the goal, a goal for a prosperous future, and giving the business every chance possible to succeed in an environment that inspires and supports the industry and growth.
As this 2-year transition comes to a close, my body is tired, my mind is relieved, and my heart is grateful. So many people made this happen, lots of sweat and lots of tears. It was a collaboration of faith, hope, and love. The climax was watching as old and new employees converged on this new facility. We are from different places and different walks of life, but now we are one family in this beautiful new place. We are Weatherby, and we are so happy to have a home in Wyoming.
I am so incredibly grateful for the state of Wyoming and the many others that helped get us to our new home. I can only imagine that someday there will be a kid wandering through the showroom in Sheridan, much like I did in Southern California as a child, mesmerized by a long-lasting legacy that began not too far from Hollywood by a poor farm boy from Kansas that one day moved to Wyoming. After all, that's the Weatherby story, and I'm honored to be a part of it.